I have developed a 10x formula to find the best altcoins, and based on that, I have a 20 metric analysis. In this video, I will explain my complete 20 metrics to you in detail. Yes, let's dive right into my 20 metrics and how I actually approach my analysis videos. First, I'll explain what an altcoin actually is and what defines it so you have some basic information to start with. Then I do a deep analysis with my 10x formula and my 20 metrics. Now we will go through the 20 metrics together in detail, and at the end I will always provide a conclusion and a price prediction. So let's start with what my 10x formula and my 20 metrics are. Each metric is rated from 0 to 10, and then ultimately each one is weighted differently. Here, market capitalization is at 8%, and then it gets multiplied and weighted, resulting in a final score in percent. Which metric is actually most important to you? Is it the team, maybe the narrative, or is it ultimately the use case? Write it in the comments. I'd really be interested to know. Yes, let's get started right away. Market capitalization weighted at 8%. What is market capitalization actually? In the end, the value of the altcoin. It's important to know this, as it's not the price that determines altcoin rise, but the market capitalization, particularly the market capitalization. Lower market capitalization means higher risk but greater opportunities. Then the second metric is the circulating supply, which is the amount of tokens that are already on the market, weighted at 7%. I've set a threshold for myself that it should be over 30%, because logically, if there are very few tokens left on the market, it means more will come onto the market in the future, which will naturally lead to further price pressure. That's why I pay attention in my analyses to ensure that they are as high as possible. Then the next point is the roadmap, weighted at 5%. What does roadmap mean? An altcoin should have a strong roadmap and show what it actually plans to do in the future, and of course which, let's say, points on the roadmap have already been completed. Are they reliable? And do they do what they promise? It's crucial. They follow the roadmap and have plans for the next year. The team is extremely important because, on one hand, they present the altcoin to the public, and on the other hand, it's crucial that they have a certain level of expertise in their field. You also need to see if you can actually trust these people and if you believe they can really drive this altcoin forward. All of this is taken into account in this point. And then the next point, the narrative. The narrative is extremely important. It changes from bull run to bull run. So it's important that they are part of a narrative that is relevant for the bull run and that is ultimately in demand. So that's an important point. This includes DeFi, but also artificial intelligence, or RWAs, or DePIN, or as it is right now, the artificial intelligence agents. All of this is extremely important for the altcoin to serve a significant narrative. Then the next point is, what problem does the altcoin actually solve? Ultimately, it's important that the altcoin actually solves a real problem and has solutions for it. Otherwise, it's irrelevant, because in the end, we need solutions. Solutions for problems, especially in the real world. It has to have its utility. This point is rated extremely high at 8% simply because an altcoin that doesn't solve a problem is ultimately useless, except for, say, meme coins, but those are more based on hype. Then the next point is the ecological impact, but also finally, how energy efficient is it? Only rated at 2%, but it is also important that the blockchain is ultimately sustainable. This is increasingly important and politically significant. It's crucial to include this in the 20 metrics and ensure the altcoin operates energy efficiently. Then the investors and capital are important. Altcoins need strong investors to provide capital, especially in a bear market with low coin sales. This is important for surviving the bear market. There are many altcoins that won't survive the bear market at all because they are simply not well capitalized. Therefore, it's important that they have strong investors. This also shows that when a truly reputable investor invests in the altcoin, it indicates that there is ultimately trust in it. So that's also an important point, rated at 5%. So what about the competition? So there's a kind of competitive analysis. Who are the competitors? How strong is the altcoin compared to them? This is all important information and key points rated at 4%, so it's very important to know this at all. So how is the altcoin positioned in terms of marketing? If you have good marketing as an altcoin, you naturally have a good presence in the media, and that is extremely important, especially in the social media area, that an altcoin is really visible. If an altcoin isn't visible, you can't pay attention to it, and then no one else will either, and that means no one will invest. Therefore, this is a very important point, rated at 5%. How simple is the idea? Must be clear. Ultimately, we as investors, even someone who might not know anything about cryptocurrencies, need to understand the project right away, so the altcoin has to be able to communicate that effectively. How easy is it to understand, and what is the actual goal? You should be able to quickly understand what the altcoin's goal is and what problem it solves, and that's extremely important. So what's the next point? The long-term vision is also very important. An altcoin must have a long-term vision, or a vision at all, so that one knows what it really wants to achieve in the world, what it wants to change. So it's extremely important, weighted at 6%. And then the next point is deflationary maximum supply. In other words, does the altcoin have a maximum supply? This is also extremely important because ultimately, if there are infinite tokens that can come onto the market at any time, it leads to inflation similar to fiat currency, and that's very suboptimal. Then it has a deflationary mechanism, such as Bitcoin has the halving cycles, but the altcoin has subcycling and may burn tokens. Fewer tokens entering the market reduces supply, stabilizes prices, and cuts inflation, weighted at 5%. How does it compare with the fully diluted market capitalization? How close is it to the market capitalization? Again, the topic of market capitalization is one thing, but the fully diluted market capitalization shows what it would look like if all tokens were actually on the market. In other words, it gives you a fair valuation, and it's extremely important to pay attention to that. It is weighted at 3%. So how does the volume look? But ultimately, the liquidity of the altcoin, I've developed a system for that as well. This shows that the liquidity is good in relation to the market capitalization, and in the end you can also trade the coin well, i.e. buy and sell, and that has given way to 3%. Fair token distribution is key. Avoid imbalance by ensuring lockup periods. Through an IDO or something like that, it's important that the tokens are distributed fairly and that not 90% goes to the team while only 10% goes to the community. That would create an absolute imbalance. That's why it's very important that there are also lockup periods. A lockup period means that when the coin is released to the market, it can only be sold after 6 months or 10 months, depending on what has been established. So that's extremely important, and it's also weighted at 4%. So what about the top coin holders? Ideally, they should be as low as possible, weighted at 4%. I mean, if many coins are held by just a few people, it means it's centralized. This means that a small number of people can throw a huge amount of tokens onto the market and manipulate the price. That's why it's important for it to be distributed as decentralized as possible. Then, another important point is, what is the utility of the token? In other words, can you stake with it? Can you earn gas fees with it? Or is it that you can trade on the platform or use the platform with it? Several use cases, and it's important to understand what the token is actually useful for. This is weighted at 7%, which is quite high. Then we come to the second to last point. How is the community doing? This is weighted at 5%. How strong is the community? How do they interact with the community? Are they active on various social media platforms? How open and transparent are they in their communication with the community? All of these are extremely important factors. As mentioned at the beginning, the better the social media management, the more visible the altcoin is, and the higher the price can go. And then the last point is about news and upcoming events. It's extremely important that we understand this because ultimately when news comes out, it generates a lot of media attention and social media buzz, which can drive the price up due to increased visibility. It also shows that they are working on their roadmap and that they have already implemented certain things. Especially when there are technical milestones, it can really boost the price. I will cover this point by showing what is coming in the future. Then at the end, I will present a summary, transparently showing all the scores, how they are weighted, and ultimately a result in percentage, so you can see how strong the altcoin is in relation to others and factor that into your decision making. And then I make a price prediction. As I said, my price predictions are ultimately based on the fully diluted market capitalization of the altcoin. Then when the entire crypto market reaches a certain level, meaning the whole crypto asset class, and then how high the market share of the altcoin is in relation to the entire market. Based on that, I create 3 scenarios. What it would be like under normal circumstances, what it would be like in an optimistic case, and what it would be like in an extreme case. Then I come up with a potential price in dollars. Yes, those were my 20 key metrics. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. I've also linked an altcoin analysis up here that really surprised me. You can see the 20 key metrics in action there. Have fun with that and see you in the next video.